Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this short video on the setup and operation of this new rifle adapter die for the RCBS Lock Out Die that will allow you to use 223 or 556 and larger rifle cartridges in your progressive press. This die adapter mimics the normal functions of the lockout die, which senses empty to full, and then on a correct powder charge to what you've set will allow the progress to continue. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you take a look at this die, which has been made from 6061 T6 high-strength aluminum, which should be very long-lasting and not give any problems for you down the road. Thank you. The adapter comes shipped like this with two parts. One is the adapter itself, which will take the powder level and push up just like it would with the sensor that's on the RCBS lockout die currently. And the second part of the adapter pushes up on the case mouth. The second part that comes with it is an adapter that will allow the die itself to be held up higher because of the height of the cartridges. It also comes with instructions, and I'm going to try to demonstrate the setup in this video. To begin, the existing powder sensor on the die has to be removed. To do that, hold the powder stem and just turn the powder stem out. You will find that there is an O-ring mounted on the stem inside the die that does put some tension on it, so you may have to pull somewhat out. The O-ring will stay inside the die. Next, the new adapter needs to be screwed onto the stem inside the die. To do that, just put it on, hold the stem of the RCBS die and turn it, and the easiest way is to turn it with the large part of the adapter. This is probably the most critical part of the setup, in that when you press on the powder sensor, the indicator line on the die has to be outside the die about 1/8 of an inch. That's good for starting it. When you get down close to that, you need to start testing by just pushing on the bottom of the powder sense to make sure that the line stays above. If you get it below, such as that, you will find you will get inaccurate settings, and sometimes it will go up on its own. We'll go down a little farther. There's a point where you can get it just like there now. Doesn't matter what's in there, it's going to tell you that it's working properly, and it's not. So again, initially set that to where when you press on the bottom of the powder sense that you're up about 1/8 of an inch. And if you see, when you push down, it is not going to go up. This is the sense that sets the high level of the powder in the shell. If it's too low and the shell mouth is pushing up on to the die itself, it also locks out. This would be an indication of no powder or low powder, and if this pushes up farther than the normal actuation, that's an indication of too much powder. The next step in setting this up is just like you would when you're setting it up with the normal die. You want to set it where it's working for normal operation. In that, I have a shell casing here that has an approximation of what I use in mine, which mostly for everyone it's right around the shoulder level of the shell itself, and that's where this is set. If it's set properly, it will go and seat with very little pressure. Should not have to jam it down onto the die. Just like that. The other thing you need to be careful of, which is why the height adapter, this piece that comes with it, has adjustment, is it is possible to set it to where the case sensor, see, that only goes up so far. That's as far as it will go. If you set it where this is too low, it is possible to get it to where it would try and push this up too far, which is going to hurt your die. Okay, to show that it works, again, this is with a shell that would have about the normal amount of powder, and it does its job as it's supposed to, allowing it to indicate that it's a properly filled cartridge. Okay, if you take one, and this is a little farther up the shell case mouth, and if I try that, I get a lockout condition, too much powder, which in my experience has been not occurring because the powder measure is doing its job. Most of the time it's either too little or none at all. Too little, if you get any powder bridges in your measures, it's possible for the powder not to be sufficient. This is an empty shell case, which is the most important condition you're trying to make it work on. Here again, and if you notice, the stem is the main thing to notice. The stem is not rising at all, which indicates not enough powder. So when you're adjusting this for your cartridges and you notice that the line is too high and it's not indicating a properly filled cartridge, you need to take the adjustment screw and screw it in to where it's not pushing up as far. By hand, you'll notice if I push just on the cartridge case mouth sense or the powder sense, it locks up. If I take, and I can generally, you can get it by hand to where it does work every time. I like to try and set it where it's slightly indicating on the low side because I know that's going to give me the most conditions for low powder. I'm not worried about the high powder. The other thing you can do too is if when you have the proper amount, you can see that only goes so far. You'll want to do that in the cartridge extender that has to be used on the press due to the height of the shells you'll be using. It's simply just like you would on your press. Screw it into the extender, and then the extender would get put in the press. I usually like to run mine where there's still an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of gap between this and the top of the shell holder. With the die inside the extender adapter, you can see that it allows it to go all the way up and down. And the main thing to notice is with the shell in there in a state allowing it to not be locked up, it does let the shell go up farther than necessary. That's as far as it will go. So we need to make sure that the travel stops at least somewhere here, which is about what it would be with the shell holder, but I like to still make sure that there's a little gap between the shell holder and the bottom of the extender die. Okay, this will repeat itself fine, and like I said before, make sure that it will go up and down without having to force or jam. And if you watch at the point where the two are catching, it's pretty close to meeting at the same time at that line that's on the extender, that's on the post of the die itself, or the powder level. Okay, that's a good one. This is one that would be as if it had too much powder. It's going to lock up, and you notice the line is up higher than it needs to be when it will unlock. And this is then an empty shell, and again it will lock up. That's how it works. I hope you enjoyed this. This has been a godsend for me, mainly because I'm tired of trying to look down that little hole to find out if the powder level's right or if there is even powder in it. This makes the process on a progressive press go a lot much quicker, and without any worries about having a squib or an empty cartridge causing many problems with your shooting experience. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please note the email on the following slide. Thank you very much. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoy using this, and I hope that all your needs and reloading in the future has been a pleasure, and that your shooting days are filled with joy. If you have any further questions or need information about this item, you can email jmadaptersinfo@gmail.com. Again, that's jmadaptersinfo@gmail.com. Thank you